Hey everybody, welcome back to Homesteading Off the Grid, the most popular homesteading channel on the entire internet that has absolutely nothing to do with homesteading. So, got to cover up a name. He has to be anonymous. We got an email here on the channel that I'm going to share with you in regards to something that's going on within the public school systems that I think most of you are aware of, but some of you aren't. And this really directly affects those of you who have special needs children, children who have IEPs, individualized education plans, the children who need a little bit more help in some areas than others. He starts out by saying, I'm writing to confirm what you said about some teachers not being allowed to fail kids. That's the first sentence. So let me give you the 60 seconds or less backstory on how this email came to be sent. We're homeschooling our son now, his first year. He's in 7th grade because we're no longer going to tolerate the fact that the public school he was attending is no longer educating. They are attempting to indoctrinate with some very insane ideas. And then they took away the busing, of course, which was going to put us out 20 hours a week in driving because we don't live within that 15-minute city model that they're pushing for. Cut off the busing to the rural areas, the kids that live the farthest out. So we just said, enough's enough, the indoctrination, and now they're taking away our transit, even though we pay heavily in taxes to have that provided for us. So I was talking about some of the benefits as we saw them, and I'll give you an update on how he's doing. He actually started his virtual schooling this week. He's going through K12.com. You got to check him out. You can do it for free if you do it in your state. They just take the tax dollars that are going to your kid's public school and they convert them or redirect them to K12. We're going the private route. It's $6,000 a year because they're more flexible. And when football season's over this fall and weather gets cold, we're going to go somewhere warmer. I'll leave it at that for now. And we want to have that flexibility of not being stuck in a time zone. I mean, we may end up on the other side of the world where the time difference is 12 hours. Well, we're able to do that with this. So I was talking about how my son had a couple of friends. He still has these friends. They're good kids. But they were chatty Cathys. He was starting to struggle grade-wise in one of his classes, and it turns out it was because he was spending too much time with these chatty Cathys. I had them separated. My son got his grade back up to an A. Kid had never had anything less than an A from 1st grade through 5th. Then he went to middle school and had some issues where there were teachers who were more concerned with social justice than they were criteria. They were more concerned with pronouns rather than mathematics. And it's interesting, my son actually failed the SOL in that particular class, and the school tried to get him to retake it. And I said, absolutely not. The state needs to know this educator or this indoctrinator's focus more on pronouns than algebra. So I didn't allow him to retake that SOL. We weren't going to make it easy for him. Teach content, okay, not opinions. So that has nothing to do with math in the first place. Okay, so one of the benefits of my son now doing the homeschooling thing is that he's not being distracted by other students who maybe are not as concerned with their academics. But I asked my son, what about their grades? He says, oh, they have A's. They don't have to worry about it. I said, how is it that they can talk to you throughout the entire class? You're getting a C and you've always been a straight A student, but they have A's. Are they that smart? And he goes, well, no. And this is how these kids explained it to him. They have IEPs. They're special needs kids. And one in particular says he's not allowed to fail because his teachers will lose their jobs. Because they state certain criteria in the IEPs, this will happen so that you will succeed. And if these things don't happen, the teacher's in trouble and they can lose their job. This kid knows it and he takes advantage of it. He's in middle school now and his teachers have done his work. He told my son his entire academic career because they don't want to get fired. Is that kid being done a service, or is he? That's an injustice. That's a disservice. They're passing that kid through for the sake of job security. They're carrying him through school, and that kid's going to have to be carried through life in adulthood. So that's the story behind this email. So let me read you this email. Again, the gentleman asked to remain anonymous. Let me put my old man glasses on here. I'm writing to confirm what you said about some teachers not being allowed to fail kids. I can only speak from my own experience as a former teacher in a large inner city school district. I received written messages from my superiors telling me that the quality of my classroom instruction would be demonstrated by my students' grades. It was further spelled out that student grades must therefore reflect improvement in order for me to demonstrate my effectiveness. The messages went on to clarify that if a student received an F during one grading period, I would be failing as a teacher if their grade did not show improvement during the next grading period. What I am about to reveal will demonstrate more precisely how much my effort and grading student work actually mattered. At the end of a grading period, listen to this will floor you. At the end of a grading period, I filled out forms for each student on which I recorded their grades. Immediately after I turned those forms in, I watched as another teacher, with the principal's approval, took the entire stack of forms and began changing the grades of each and every student in my class. That teacher had not taught any of those students during that school year. I'm sure that teacher never even met some of those students. I wonder how wise some of my students actually were in terms of thinking that doing the work didn't matter. In that world, it didn't. And clearly, my son's friend was wise enough to catch on early. It doesn't matter. The teachers will do it so they don't get fired. Continue with the email. I had fourth grade students who could not read at the kindergarten level, nor could they do addition or subtraction. Those students did not have IEPs. When I tried to help them learn basic skills, I was reprimanded and told that I could not do so because it was not part of the approved curriculum. I was told that I was supposed to refer the students to remediation if they needed it. I asked how long that process would take before the students would begin to receive remedial services. The answer was 18 months. So I was permitted to refer fourth grade students who would not receive any assistance for 1.5 years. A teacher who didn't make the grade. This only begins to scratch the putrid surface of what I experienced working there, but I'll continue to suppress those memories since there's no real need to dredge them up. Then he signs his name and he says, I'd like to remain anonymous. If you would like to use this message, feel free to do so. All right, Mr. Anonymous, you and I both know who you are. Thank you so much for this message. I don't think enough people are aware of what's going on out there. And instead of bashing the current system any further at this point, I'm going to praise the new one we're in, K12.com. And again, I spoke with my older sister yesterday who teaches for a virtual academy. She's a fully accredited teacher. She doesn't work with this one. She recommended this one to us because she knew that we're going to be doing a lot of traveling and we didn't want to be tied down. And so she made the perfect recommendation. But she taught for 13 or 14 years in the public schools. She then, during COVID, after COVID, she remained a virtual teacher for the public schools. But she was so effective, word got out, and hey, get out of here, little barn swallow. She started getting recruited. Well, the first year she went in and talked to her employers, and she does have a teachers union where she is, and she said, hey, look, they're offering me this much. You're only paying me this much. What are we going to do about it? Well, she got a big pay raise. Well, they kept coming after her. So listen, there's an answer here for teachers too. If you're a teacher, if you're stuck in the broken brick and mortar system and you want more pay, and I'm sure you're deserving of it if you're effective, if you're good at what you do. So the next year they came after my sister again, and there was no way the public school could match what they were offering her. So she's again telling me, I never thought I'd make this much money as a teacher. I get to work from anywhere. So yesterday, it brings me back to my son. 7:30 in the mornings when I'm outside, I see the kids across the road, good kids, good parents, wonderful family. I see them leaving for school, and that's when my son used to get on the bus every day for 7 years because of kindergarten. It's like, wow, 7:30. He doesn't start until 11. So he doesn't start until 3.5 hours after he used to get on the bus. And he's done it too. It takes 3 hours. He's done it too. I was out here yesterday afternoon at 5:30, early evening. That's what time they get home. Even when they, when whether it was buses or the driving, whatever, 5:30. And I thought, wow, my son's been done for 3.5 hours. So they leave 3.5 hours before he starts, and they don't get home until 3.5 hours after he's done. There's 7 hours of our lives back every day that my son gets because of this. Now, it starts out he does it on the laptop, FaceTiming. He's in a group setting as far as the teacher's there, a couple dozen other students. It's not too large. It's controllable. It's manageable. They interact, and this lasts for about 40 minutes. They do some like teaching, just like they're in a classroom, but it's right there on the computer. And then after that, it's about 2.5 hours worth of coursework that he does. And the teacher goes over the coursework with them during that online forum so that they know exactly what's expected of them to do. Yesterday, this teacher, because he's got several, lives in Florida, but she conducted her class from an airport in Chicago because that's where she's from, and her mother still lives there, and she wanted to go see her mother on her mother's birthday, and she did. Didn't have to miss a day of work. Didn't have to request permission to leave. Have technology, will travel. That is how folks, it is 2023. So if you want your time back, you want your life back, you hear people that have kids say, 4 more years, and little Johnny, kid, he says some of the strangest things, doesn't he? Little Johnny will be finished with high school so we can finally go wherever we want throughout the year. Or little Sally, 6 more years and she'll be finished and we can make our vacation home down in Florida our permanent home, or we can start to travel like we've always wanted to. We won't be hindered of only being able to go places in the summer, and we don't want to go to Arizona in the summer because it's too hot. So in 6 years, we're going to be able to see that Grand Canyon in the winter. Do it now. Do it now. It's 2023. Don't be a dinosaur. So not only are you not dealing with the indoctrination, you get your life back. You get your freedom. You get to pull in the anchor and set sail to wherever you want to go. And again, you can go to K12.com, and if you do it in your state, like let's say you live in Virginia like us and you want to do K12 Virginia, it's free. Okay? Not being paid to promote them either. I'm just telling you, if you want your life back, and if you want to know if you want to get rid of that stuff they're trying to pump into your child's head that has nothing to do with reading, writing, and arithmetic, go the virtual route. I'm telling you. All right, so I hope you got something out of this. Again, thank you for the email. Keep submitting your stories, anything associated with paranormal, supernatural, cryptids, UFOs, aliens, because True Hauntings Part 4, Volume 4 should be out by October. So we've got an email address. It's in the description box below, crazylake@mail.com. Send them there. See you for more next time.